Hi everybody, it's Margaret here with 60 and Me. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope that you're doing well wherever you are. I've got a topic today that I hope will be inspiring to some of you and informational to others, because I think that as we get older, one thing that we have to deal with is our financial situation and our reality that we may not be working any longer and have to look at our finances and the way that we're living our lives in a different way. And many women in their 60s and 70s and older are looking to start businesses and to start their own passion business, something that they love to do. Maybe they've done a completely different thing all their lives, and now it's time to do that thing that they've always wanted. And I guess the topic today is, can you do that? And can you turn your passion into a viable business? Now, I did it, and I want to talk about, a little bit about 60 and Me and how that happened, and, sort of maybe that will be inspirational to you. But the article by Lily Temmer is one that I think will guide you through the process of the questions that you should ask yourself if you're thinking about starting a new business. It's not all about just having, something that you love to do and opening a blog or starting a website or Etsy shop. There's a lot more to it than that. And I think some questions that you need to ask yourself before. Now, there's not a lot of examples of women, older women so far that have started new businesses. So, the reality is that it's happening all the time. That, people are the boomer generation is more likely to start a business and have it last statistically than those who are younger. And there's probably lots of reasons for that. We're pretty driven and pretty determined in some cases. But the question really is, can you make your passion be a viable business? And I suppose the very first question that you have to ask yourself is there a market for my passion? Does somebody want to buy it? Whether it's a product, something that you put in a box or a bag and send it to them, or something that you do remotely online, some kind of service or information or counseling or something that you give them over the. Another thing is digital art. I was actually looking at Etsy shops the other day just to, in preparation for this chat. And one of the questions they ask you when you're setting up your shop is it a product or is it a service or a digital offering? So a lot of people will put their art up on Etsy, and then you pay to download it. So anyway, those are just examples of ways of doing a business. But is there a market for it? Digital or bricks and mortar, you may want to open a shop. I did that. I can tell you about that too. I've done just about everything because I think that I have a curious mind, and I also wanted to try new things. And so I made that successful as well, but we did shut, and I can tell you the story. But first thing is to ask, what are your passions? What do you love to do? What is it that you would love to share with someone and make a little bit of money? Now, why do you want money in your 60s? Well, of course, if you were smart and invested, you've got some savings, that's awesome. That's great. But a lot of women didn't do that. And I was one of those. And I think in order to kind of bounce back from that kind of situation where you don't have a lot of retirement savings is actually, a challenge. So that's why you would try to do this. Many people are living on Social Security in the United States and on pensions in other parts of the world. So I think that's an important one. Another thing, I just notice my notes here, is another thing you can do is sell online courses. Now, don't forget, a lot of you out there have got talents and skills and experience, knowledge that a lot of others might find useful. So there's actually some online sites where you can actually teach your thing. I mean, you can teach whatever it is that you have skill in. It could be accounting, it could be some kind of nutrition or caring. There's lots of online communication strategies. I'm trying to think of the names of them now, but I'll leave them in the section below. But you can find them, how to become an online teacher of any topic. That's a passion, and that's something that you may love to do, like you spent 30 years becoming good at it. Now you want to share it. Good idea. So the next thing after you determine, is there a market for my passion, is who are your potential customers? So your potential customers, you've got to almost create an avatar, like a person who represents, like you could point to them and say, that's the person that I'm making this thing for or trying to sell this thing to. It could be women over a certain age. It could be women or men or both. It could be their income level. If you've got something you want to sell for, art that you want to sell for what it's worth, then the location. Do you want to limit it to some people in your own area or your own country? If you're making something for Etsy, for example, like a craft item, you have to pay, you have to charge postage. And when you start getting outside your own country, it gets expensive. So, and then people are less likely to purchase perhaps if your postage is high. So that's just a kind of a side note. Could it be their level of education? I mean, could it be someone who's already a nurse or already trained in an area that you want to talk about or that you want to share something about? That could be an important one. Also, their status in the family. Are they a grandparent, for example, if your item is for grandparents? So you've got to think about how to determine who your audience is. And I got something in my eye. And, basically create this avatar, this person. To be honest with you, when I started 60andMe, all I thought was that they were me. Like I was women over 60, I was 64. I knew what the issues were. I knew what was on my mind. I knew what I loved to do to address those concerns. I knew what I wanted. Well, what happened as we went along with 60andMe is we realized that not everybody is like me. The only thing that they had in common with me in many ways was my age, that we called it 60andMe, and it's for women over 60. Well, some people under 50 come and join us and over 70, 80, 90. But it was just that genre when I started. I knew there was a customer for it. I didn't know what we were going to sell. That was another thing. So in a way, I wasn't a terribly good example. I just knew that there was a need for women over 60. That's how I started 60andMe. And that avatar, that person started to be me, but then it changed and it shifted. Not everybody likes to travel like I do. Not everyone likes makeup like I do, or has the same preference in books, or likes to, be more adventurous with, traveling with younger people, for example, or, there's all kinds of differences that emerged over the years. And so I think that's one thing that happens in a business anyway, it evolves. So, for example, the example that Lily gives is skincare. Say that you've got a product and you want to make it. It's like a cream or something, a lip gloss or something that you've discovered has perfect ingredients in it. But say that you want to, for example, sell it at a high price. Well, then there's things you can do if you're going to sell a luxury. Maybe it just costs you a lot to put it together, to make it. Not that you're trying to make or not necessarily, although there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking to an avatar, a person who's got a disposable income that can afford your product, you want to use words like luxury or indulgence or coveted or rejuvenation, not just healthy for your skin or, it feels good. It's got to be have those words in the marketing, and it's got to align with the values and the preferences of the market, of the people that you think will be buying it. So that's a super important one, values and preferences. How big is your market? Well, you don't really know. I mean, you may hope that millions of people will tune into your course on how to make, a scrapbook, but it's more likely that it's going to be hundreds. So it's assessing where what the range of your market is. And again, of course, how much is the market willing to spend? This is a typical business plan kind of outlook. Like, who is your competition? What are their strengths and weaknesses? How are you different? And word of warning, if price is the only difference, that's a difficult one to sell. Because if it's a makeup product, for example, or some item that you took a lot of time to make, if a competitor is selling something at a different material, like a necklace, for example, they're selling it at using a different material that's cheaper, they can make something that looks just like yours. When I had my retail store that I mentioned earlier, it was a retail store in Seattle, and it was called Passion for India. And it was everything Indian in terms of fabrics and textiles and scarves and saris and curtains. It was a lovely shop. I loved it. I had it for 4 years, just before 9/11, which kind of caused chaos for everybody in that particular business, or any kind of business. But anyway, the point there was that I over time, it became very Indian products, because this is like back in I've forgotten when 9/11 was, a while ago. The shop started to sell mock-ups, and I had silk, embroidered things that were done by hand in Jaipur, made from Varanasi silk, beautiful, and they were $200 because they took 2 months to make. and people came out with a cheaper version that was $50. And of course, that was hard to differentiate. So price is important. And I think the ways that you can differentiate yourself is by a better product, better customer service, and your story. Lots and lots of advice. But look, the answer to the question that we raised at the beginning is yes, you can. Yes, you can make a viable business from your passion. You've just got to do some homework. You've got to be committed. You've got to do some hard work and use your networks, get to get feedback. And financing and branding is a whole other topic that we probably should cover at another time, because that's important. How you brand yourself is, back to those values and preferences. So what is your passion? And do you think you could monetize it? Would you like to monetize it? And this is kind of an open session here. If you've got a website, a blog, where you personally sell something that you've made, leave it in the comment section below. We don't normally ask for that because it just gets a little bit promotional. I don't even know if YouTube likes that. Now that I stopped to think about it, maybe just put the name of it, the name of your business and where it is. I think that YouTube has a challenge when you put a link into a comment. So don't do that. Just put the name of the business, and also just what you have a passion for, and whether you'd like to monetize it. And let's just get some feedback. People can tell you whether it's a good idea. Okay, everybody, we'll have a really fun time with this one. I enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you did too. Please subscribe to our channel here and leave a thumbs up so others will have a chance to view it. And again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for all your support and love. And take really good care of yourselves. Lots of love.